And welcome back to Life in Pictures podcast. This week, we are talking about a favorite of mine. This is actually in honor of the 30th anniversary that just happened. This movie was actually released on July 31st, 1992. Can you guess what it is? Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that's what I was going to guess. I'm really good at this game.
Yeah. You're just a little slow on the uptake there.
A little bit. I'm a little slow at a lot of things.
So, very excited to talk about this movie. We actually rewatched it last night. We were with Travis's family, and my sister-in-law, TJ, had never seen it.
She's never seen really anything, so to be fair.
So, okay, right. So we could do like a whole podcast on things TJ has never seen. Like that could be a series, maybe it will be. Stay tuned. But anyway, she had never seen it, and we had been talking about possibly doing an episode on it, and then that just sealed the deal for me because I was like, you have to see this movie.
It's
like,
happening.
come on. So we watched it last night, and that segues into our where to watch. I know for a fact that this used to be available, like, I don't know, Netflix. Somebody had it streaming.
Basically,
I've seen it there before.
The way it seems to work out is like they have everything we want to watch until we want to watch it. And then they're like, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So we paid for it. We rented it on, Amazon Prime. It was $3.99, but you can get it on YouTube or Vudu or any of those.
You could buy an old-fashioned DVD.
You could
probably buy the DVD for
$3.99
$3.99 and have it forever. So, I mean, there's options out there. But if you want to pay for convenience, you don't feel like going out to the store and digging through the bargain bin at Walmart, you can rent it for $3.99 on basically all the streaming platforms.
Well worth it. Well worth it. So we're going to start with a summary of the movie.
Before we do, here's our thing with every episode. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert.
In case this is your first time listening to this show.
And if you haven't seen this movie that's been out for 30 years, shame on you. Go watch it right now.
Well, it's possible that we could have younger listeners who haven't been around for 30 years yet.
Shame on you.
But
go watch it right now.
If you are in that category, you definitely should go watch this movie.
Yes.
So just so you know.
So this, if you're familiar with the TV show, you know that was kind of a dark take.
I never watched the TV show. And I remember when this movie came out and I saw the movie and I thought the movie was good and everything, and they were like, oh, they're making a show. And I was like, that's cool. And then I don't know. It never really appealed to me. Did you watch it?
I did. I did for a long time. I didn't towards the end, but definitely the Buffy Angel years I was watching it. Anyway, so let's talk about the movie. Buffy Summers, she is the chosen one, and we are in the light ages in Los Angeles. So it starts with our girl Buffy. She's a cheerleader. She's very like LA 1990s.
Kristy
Swanson. So we see the little cheer routine at the beginning of the movie, and I still know the routine. And then her and her friends are shopping at the mall, and they're being very Los Angeles 1992. Like, oh my God. They get in the elevator. They're talking about going to the movies, and they get stopped by this creepy, who they call a homeless guy, and it turns out to be Merrick, who is her watcher. They go to the movies, and sitting behind them, we have Luke Perry and David Arquette, Pike and Benny.
By the way, Merrick is played by Donald Sutherland. Father of Kiefer Sutherland, if you are familiar.
So Pike and Benny have snuck into the movies, and they're annoyed by these giggling girls in front of them. And it kind of starts this contentious thing between Buffy's group and Pike and Benny.
And I feel like it's a great part of the movie. First of all, I think we all miss Luke Perry. It was great to see him again.
Yes.
And David Arquette, too. They're both just really funny guys. I don't know. Like, they're kind of I don't know, maybe David Arquette. I guess he was. They're kind of those kind of teen idol actors or whatever, but...
Well, and this was like peak Luke Perry.
Yeah.
We're talking like the height of 90210, like the really good years when he was like leaving Brenda, getting with Kelly.
I usually don't like that kind of thing, but it's kind of hard for me to hate on Luke Perry. Like he's a good actor.
Yeah, everybody loves Luke Perry.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, I was saying this last night, is that David Arquette has decided to pursue wrestling again, and Luke Perry's son is also a wrestler now. So there's a wrestling connection there.
Yeah.
For those of you
and
who like
Luke
wrestling.
Perry and David Arquette continue to be very good friends for the entirety of Luke Perry's life.
Side note, there is a documentary out there. It's called You Can't Kill David Arquette, and it kind of follows his journey back into wrestling. If that seems like it's of interest to you, check it out.
Yes. But
Luke Perry's in it too, I think, going to some of the matches. So.
Yeah. So before he passed, the cool thing about this character that Luke Perry plays is he is such an anti-Dylan. Like, it's really cool to see him playing this character that's like grungy and like
he's got the range.
And very funny, very comedic, but dry, and it's just really cool because it's an anti-Dylan role in my opinion. So back to the movie.
Sideshow Luke Perry.
We see that Buffy, she's, having these dreams and these nightmares of these previous lives where she's faced with the head vampire Lothos, and he always ends up killing her, and that wakes her up. But we also are seeing that she has these instincts to fight. One of them is when she is at a cafe with her friends and they run into Pike and Benny again. And Benny does something kind of crass with the hot dog and she slashes it up and everybody's like, oh my God. And I think she didn't even know she could do that.
She finds all kinds of hidden talents.
Yes.
Like this one time, she's in the principal's office. The principal is played by Stephen Root, which is also awesome. For those of you who are not familiar with Stephen Root, he was Milton in Office Space. He's on King of the Hill. He's in all kinds of stuff. He's in Barry with Bill Hader on HBO. And he is a UF alumni. So that's pretty sweet.
Woo!
It was cool to see him because this was 1992, so everybody's very young. You see a lot of people who have gone on to have successful careers, and among them, a very, very short role in the basketball team. Who was it?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yes, we'll talk more about that. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Chock full of stars.
Yes. So,
what I was saying was when she was in the principal's office, she ends up putting a push pin in her mouth and spitting it out and pinning a fly to the wall with it. Is another ability she found that she had.
Yes.
That's how I got started on that. Anyway.
So Pike and Benny are wandering home after the incident at the cafe. And they're drunk and Pike passes out. Benny gets attacked by Paul Rubin, is like the assistant vampire.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. So he bites him, and then Pike is saved by Merrick, who drives him home. And then we see Buffy's at practice, and she is all by herself in the gym, and in walks Merrick. Sketch. He tells her that it's her birthright to slay vampires. He takes her to this fresh grave.
All right, before we start going through the summary, though, just questions. I don't know. Why in the world... I mean, if you've seen this movie, you know what Donald Sutherland's character dresses like, what he looks like. He was an old man back then, too. Is he still alive?
I don't know.
I don't even... That's very terrible to say. I hope that he is. But... I always kind of like when I'm thinking Donald, it's him and Donald Pleasance, and one of them died, I think, and I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was Donald Pleasance that died. Maybe they both did. I don't know. I know Kiefer's alive. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, why this dude just walks into this high school, into this gym where this girl's alone. Why is she alone in the gym too? But it's just like, oh no, that's fine. And then later on, he's even in the locker room with her, and it's like, how did you get in here? Nobody thought that was weird or tried to stop you or anything.
Right? Yeah, it is a little sketch, especially because he does look like a pedophile.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about was I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Paul Rubens. I did not realize. Well, I mean, at the time when this movie came out, I was 8 years old, I think, so I probably wouldn't have realized it then. But I remember my mom telling me, oh, that's the guy that plays Pee Wee Herman. And I'm like, no way, that's not him. Yeah. He looks so different in this movie. I mean, clearly it's a different character, but I don't know. That just blew my mind when I found that out when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
So, Merrick tells her that she's the vampire slayer and that he's her watcher, and he takes her to this fresh grave, and she ends up slaying these vampires, and she decides she wants to just kind of carry on as usual. She's just going to pretend that didn't happen. Well, Merrick shows up in the locker room, and he throws a knife at her head. And she catches it with her hand. And she's very upset about it. But this kind of persuades her to begin training as the Slayer. Meanwhile, Benny, who is now a vampire, visits Pike, and he's floating in the air. And Pike is kind of the smarter, slacker guy. And he's like, I live really high up. And how did you get up here?
He's like, you're floating.
You're floating.
And of course, Benny's just asking him to invite him in.
Yeah,
because
he's
as
like,
we
nah.
all know, if you're a vampire, you can't go in someone's house unless they invite you in.
Yeah.
So,
later on, Pike has decided that he's going to leave town because something weird is going on. So a group of vampires comes after him, and he's trying to get the van started. It's all very 1990s, like, build the drama. So Paul Rubin's character tries to attack Pike, and he's like climbing on the van, and the stunts are pretty cheesy. You can tell it's not Luke Perry or Paul Rubens in those scenes, but eventually Paul Rubens' character, I don't know the name of that character. Does anybody know the name of that vampire in the movie? Do they ever say? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he has a name, but I don't remember him being called anything. But anyway, so he loses his arm in the process, and he's pretty pissed off about it. So
apparently his name in the movie is Amelin.
Amelin. Love it.
It's a nice vampire name, I guess.
Yes. The more you know. Thank you, Google. Buffy then helps Pike out of that situation from getting killed by Amelin and the other vampires. They form a friendship. Buffy continues to train. Then Lothos lures Buffy. So Lothos is the head vampire guy. He lures Buffy out from a game. And this is actually that time where Ben Affleck is there. She's at this basketball game, and one of the players on her team has turned into a vampire, and he suddenly shows up, and she can kind of tell something's wrong, and then he's like flashing his fangs, and Ben Affleck's on the other team, and he just like gives him the ball. He's like, here you go. Very minimal part. If you didn't know it was Ben Affleck, you wouldn't know it's Ben Affleck. So Buffy follows this kid to an abandoned yard with like float parade floats, and Lothos is there, and he kind of lures her, and she's entranced by him, and she can't like get out of this daze, and she's almost killed. But so Lothos decides, because Buffy doesn't try to fight him, that she's not ready to be eaten or to be killed. But Merrick comes to save her, and Lothos ends up killing Merrick with his own knife. Buffy's sad. She decides, you know what? I just need to be a normal teenager. I'm going to go to my dance. But now that Lothos knows who she is, he decides he's coming for her at the dance. So in the meantime, Pike decides he's going to get dressed up, and he's going to make, what do you call them? Spikes. What are they called? You know, the thingies.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The thingies.
Steaks. They're called steaks.
Steaks.
That's what they're called.
Steaks, in case he needs them. So we really appreciate the preparedness of Pike. So Buffy gets to the dance. She finds out that her boyfriend has broken up with her. You broke up with my machine? And he's taken up with her friend. And later she finds them in the backseat of his car together. So she's being all sad against the wall, and then in walks Pike, and it's peak Dylan McKay, and they dance and they kiss and swoon city.
And then vampires show up and they kill vampires together. It's super romantic.
Yes. So
as you do.
As you do. The vampires bust in. People start dying. Buffy kicks everybody's ass. She kills Lothos. The principal gives the dead vampires detention. Buffy and Pike leave together on his motorcycle. Happily ever after.
I feel like we should also mention that Joss Whedon wrote this.
Yes.
And this has to be one of his earlier works.
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously he would go on to probably the biggest thing that people might know him for is the Avengers films. Mm-hmm. He was the director of those, I believe. He did Firefly and Serenity, which are kind of cult favorite TV shows.
Well, he did Buffy the TV show.
He did the Buffy TV show too. So if you're a fan of Joss Whedon and you somehow didn't know he was involved with this, check this one out too.
Yeah. Well, so making of this movie, Joss Whedon actually he wrote it and he sold the film to Dolly Parton's production company called $Sand$ in 1991. And then $Sand$ got with 20th Century Fox and anyway, so the movie was filmed over 5 weeks. So they had a very tight schedule because they were trying to work around Luke Perry's 90210 schedule. And that took top priority because that was the thing at the time.
Very popular.
Yes.
When he wasn't being Sideshow Luke Perry with Krusty the Clown, he was Dylan McKay on 90210.
Sure. The movie was made for $7 million and it grossed over $16 million at the box office. So it did quite better than expected, even though critics slammed it. And it debuted at number 5.
Number 5
in the United States
is alive. Here's an interesting fact about this movie. Kristy Swanson would go on to play Christy Boner in Dude, Where's My Car? So, clearly, she has attained some level of notoriety there. Yes. If you haven't seen Dude, Where's My Car? You should check that out, too. That's a great movie.
No, it's not.
It's amazing.
Okay, so we are on to our interesting facts.
I just started our interesting facts.
Apparently
Christy Boner.
Read.
Hello.
So, Joss Whedon had an advisory role in the film, but 20th Century Fox wanted to make some changes. It was very dark, much more like the TV show, and they wanted to make it light and funny. And he became very dissatisfied with the direction that they were taking. So ultimately, the production company chose to change several of the key scenes in this original screenplay to kind of contribute to that lighter tone. In Whedon's version, Merrick commits suicide instead of being killed by Lothos, and Buffy burns her whole school to the ground to kill the vampires. And the production company decided that was a little much for a comedy. But Whedon apparently also said that Donald Sutherland was difficult to work with, and he didn't like that the director let him improvise or change the lines that he'd written.
Well, like we were saying before, the movie has a lot of stars who maybe weren't big stars some of them were big stars at the time, but Hilary Swank was in this movie, which I didn't remember until we watched it again last night. Like we already said, Kristy Swanson, David Arquette, Luke Perry, Donald Sutherland, Paul Rubens, Ben Affleck. The list goes on. Stephen Root, yes. I already covered Stephen Root a minute ago, but Stephen Root, put him on your list.
What's interesting, I think, is that, Joss Whedon had said that Donald Sutherland was hard to work with, but I don't know if you've heard about the drama with Joss Whedon, with all those TV shows and movies that he worked on, that he's just absolutely awful.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he's kind of ousted now.
Oh.
In Hollywood. So
well then.
Yeah. Luke Perry actually said that he took the role of Pike because when he read the script, every page made him laugh.
Apparently, the original working title of Joss Whedon's screenplay was Rhonda the Immortal Waitress.
Yeah, so it definitely took a turn there at some point.
I mean, I feel like the way it ended up is probably a little better.
So Seth Green was actually filmed as a vampire in the movie, but his scenes were cut. He is one of 2 actors that also starred in the TV show.
Well, that's a shame. I like Seth Green. I feel like he would have done a good job.
Yeah, and he must have been really young then, too.
Alyssa Milano was supposed to play Buffy originally, but
that's who Whedon wanted, and the powers that be ultimately said no, and he did cast her in Charmed, though. His TV show on the WB. One of many of his TV shows.
WB just had him on lock.
Yeah.
David Bowie and Mick Jagger were supposed to make cameos as vampires, but apparently the studio could not afford to pay them once they signed Donald Sutherland and Rutger Hauer. I feel like they probably could afford to pay them. They just didn't. That's how, they always try to, we don't got any money for that. And they go spend it on some other stupid thing.
So there was actually a reboot in the works in 2009 that was going to be like a new Slayer, a new story, and like I guess the fandom was behind it, but ultimately it kind of fizzled out. It's just like out there in Buffy land somewhere. And then the TV show is actually, I didn't know this, and I watched the TV show, is supposed to be a sequel or a continuation of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mean, I never watched the show, but I just thought it was supposed to be different, like a different thing.
I don't really like remember, and like in the movie, Buffy has a mom and dad, and it doesn't allude to her having any siblings, but in the show, it's just her mom, and then she has a sister, and like, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely different.
Yeah, for sure. So, I just want to say that I love this movie. So if we're going to talk about favorite scenes, it's hard for me to pick because I can quote the whole thing forwards, backwards, twice on Sundays. But my favorite, I think, is Paul Rubin's very, very dramatic death scene where it actually like spills over to
I like where he comes back in the credits. Like that was funny because it's just that callback.
It's just campy and I love it.
Yeah.
But I guess I have, some questions about the ending. So Buffy, in the end, she hops on the motorcycle with Pike and they ride off into the sunrise. Where are they going? Is he taking her home?
My question was like, remember the scene where she takes the motorcycle from the biker guy to go chase down the vampires?
Yeah.
And then Pike is just outside with some other dude randomly fixing up a dirt biker. Like, why was he out there just randomly fixing up a dirt bike for no reason? And he was like, oh, look, a motorcycle chase? Or a motorcycle chase? Guess I'll join. Like,
in all of LA. She just happens to be. But, like, nobody wants to know how or why she just murdered a bunch of people. Like, she just leaves. Where are they going?
Well, also, like, nobody, like, that guy, I don't remember these people's characters' names, but, like, the guy that Ben Affleck gives the basketball to.
Yeah.
It's like he was murdered by the vampires. He got out of his fresh grave. Then, he comes back and he's playing in this game and nobody thinks that's weird. Like, oh, isn't that guy that died there? Oh, seems legit. Sure. Go in there and play.
Maybe they didn't even know he was missing.
I guess. I mean, it's like, didn't you guys realize he was in a suit when he came out of the fresh grave, which implies that they had a funeral and stuff or something, right?
Well, that was a different guy.
Oh, that was a different guy?
We didn't see him come out of the grave.
Okay. But still, though.
We saw him die.
Yeah.
And then we saw him at the basketball game, but we didn't see
Okay. Oh, well, then maybe...
That was a different guy.
Well, then maybe that guy's similar to Benny then, where he's still around, but people don't realize he's...
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, where are your parents? They don't know that you're dead?
Yeah. Well, maybe not, because Buffy's parents were inattentive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that makes sense now. For some reason, I was thinking that was the same guy.
Yeah. Gosh, I just, it's just such a funny, like, it's funny, it's...
Did you see this movie in the theater? No.
I was only 8.
I saw it in the theater.
You did?
Yeah.
Maybe I did.
We saw it at so where I grew up, we used to have this theater, and it's you grew up in the same area. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to remember that. I think it was called Value Cinema or something like that. And the tickets were $1.50. Wow. And it was basically like the movies would go there like when they were sort of they weren't on video yet, but they were like
the
not
last
really in
run.
all of the theaters either.
Yeah.
Sort of like in between. And so you could go there and you'd buy a ticket for $1.50. And I mean, it wasn't like a super great theater. Like, the floors are kind of dirty. It's kind of a little on the, ghetto side, but it was $1.50. So what do you want? So we'd go there once in a while and see these. And this is one of the movies we saw there.
I feel like if I don't remember seeing it in the theater. If I did, it would have been with like my aunt and my cousin, because there's no way in God's green earth that my mother would have let me see this movie at the age I was.
Yeah.
But I literally watched this videotape until it was worn out.
I don't even think that like my parents took me to. I think they dropped us off.
When you were 8?
Yeah, because I went with like my brother and one of his friends. So, I mean, they were a little older, I guess.
They were 10. That's still not okay. Like, okay, 30 years ago, life was different, right?
I guess a different time, I guess.
Never let my 10-year-old go to the movies
I probably wouldn't do that either.
Themselves.
But I feel like that's what happened. Either that or maybe they saw a different movie
but you
while
know what?
we were
Now that I
watching
think about it, I know that like my friend Shannon and I used to go to the movies, like just us, when we were in 5th grade.
Yeah.
That is so dangerous.
I feel like, because I feel like I've done that. I used to do that several times where like, they would just drop us off and they'd say, okay, go see your movie. We'll come back here in a couple of hours. And well, either that or like sometimes like they would go see a different movie and we would go see what we wanted and we'd meet up in the lobby afterwards.
But yeah, I'm not going to let my 5th grade daughter go to the movies by herself.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it. Like, no, I don't know. I mean, it's I guess in some ways.
And especially like then we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
Like there would have been if something happened, we would have had no way to contact our parents.
I guess in some ways those threats have like always been there, but I don't know. Maybe you're just more aware of them now.
Maybe our parents just didn't care.
Or
they didn't care.
Or I mean, I think it's sort of like that way with like probably like when our kids are older, they're gonna be like, I can't believe my parents let me do X, because I mean, if you think about it, like people that grew up, back when our parents were kids, it's like they probably did some stuff that you would never let your kids do now, or like you hear about these people where back before you had the internet in 7, people were like, oh yeah, we used to jump our bikes off ramps and do this and that. It's like, it's not like the risk of breaking your arm on a ramp was any less back then. It was just a different time, I guess. I don't know. So I feel like now it's like those threats are probably the same as they ever were. Or maybe they're worse now. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdos out there now. But anyway, I don't know. I guess I'm digressing. We need somebody like Buffy to come kill all of these,
slay the bad guys.
The bad guys here. Yeah.
Slay the bad guys.
Well, this was a kind of a shorter episode. I know we usually try to get between half an hour to an hour. I feel like after an hour, people probably start losing interest.
Yeah.
And shorter than an hour, it's just too short. So we're basically at a half hour now. And but again, if you have any opinions on how long you prefer these episodes to be, feel free to hit us up on our social media accounts. Mm-hmm. We are Life in Pictures Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, although YouTube is a little inactive at the moment. We have plans for it in the future, but we're not really set up for it quite yet. At Life in Pics Pod on Twitter, at Life in Pics Pod on Instagram. And if you're the type of person who doesn't really do social media, Life in Pictures Podcast at gmail.com is our email if you would like to send in any questions or comments or concerns or whatever is on your mind about this show.
Yeah, if we mess something up, please tell us because we don't know everything. I mean, I know everything.
Feel free to interact. If you have heard any mistakes or you have something you want to add, hit us up. Or if you've got a suggestion for what you'd like us to cover next.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a vast amount of material for a podcast of this nature.
Sure.
I mean, there's movies are always happening.
Yeah, and this really just came up because I saw the anniversary and then I was kind of thinking, oh, that would be a good one to do. But then when my sister-in-law said she hadn't seen it, I was like, yeah, we're doing this one.
Yeah.
For sure. So please, if you get a chance, go to Apple Podcasts, like and leave a review, and that will allow us to be seen by other people, the review. And
that's about it. So until next time, thank you for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed the show.